The High Noon stream for this Friday afternoon. What the hell's going on here? Hold on. Doing a little bit of a late start. 9-minute start. 9-minute late start today. You want to blame that 9-minute start on somebody? Blame it on E. Blame it on E because we had about a 9-minute conversation. I would have been right on time. E, of course, E from the nighttime stream, the 9 p.m. Pugs and Parker with E stream that occurs every Monday through Thursday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time right here. Just three dudes talking about the world. Current events, hot topics, lifestyle choices, all kinds of stuff. That's what we do there. Lately, we've been doing some interviews with people. We've been talking to old friends who used to work with us at a station called Live 105.3 here in Dallas, and we're putting together a podcast about the history of that station. So we've been reconnecting with people we haven't talked with, but people who we used to see every single day of our life. Last night we had Valerie Dior on. Valerie Dior, you may know from any number of things. As it was revealed last night on the show, she was a part of just about every show on that station. And she brought the hot takes. She brought Valerie. How about Valerie last night? She was terrific. Yeah, Rainy Days says it. Rainy Days is like, great show last night. Val was probably the best interview yet. Well, that's something I think that the listeners have a right to say. But as somebody who's been involved in all the interviews, I'm not going to say that. Val was great, but they've all been great. I mean, I think they've all been really interesting. So, but Val brought it. Cannot be denied. Val was great. We're not going to create a pecking order of our old friends of who were better than. Yeah, I don't want to do that. Everything is not a competition. All right, so what's going on? That show airs Monday through Thursday. We've got a couple more interviews we've got to do. As we do more of these interviews, we start to realize, oh, we need to talk to that person too. Well, we need to talk to that person too. So we'll get to it. Excuse me. Come on in, join the chat room, pull up your beanbag chair, form your soul circle of life, join hands, put some positive energy out in the world, and let's learn about all the things that happen on this day throughout history and on this day in particular, because that's what High Noon is about. I try and get you caught up on everything that's happening in the world. Headlines, current events, whatever it is that people are gabbing about, that's what we bring to you. We do it in sort of a rundown style, although I don't apply numbers. It's not like number one, although I'm thinking I want to do a countdown. I'm thinking a countdown. Sort of. I'm thinking about a lot of changes to this show. This High Noon show, we've been doing it now for almost 2 years, a year and a half at least. And it is my most committed and longest serving digital project. And that's because I've always, done stuff and then be like, I'm bored with this or whatever. But if you want a digital project to take off, you have to be consistent. You have to do it every single day. That's what they say. They say it. Oh, you got it. Look, it's an easy way to succeed in streaming. All you got to do is do it every day. I've been doing this for a year and a half. Okay, it's not succeeding. People aren't sharing it. There is no buzz being created by this show. I honestly think I'm doing some of the most entertaining work of my life. I love this show, and it's just not going anywhere. It's just not. And how long is, well, you gotta wait it out. How long is you gotta wait it out? How long how long until people just start to understand that with digital stuff, remember how you used to like things on the radio and you tell your friends about it? Same thing. Only you can tell your friends about it en masse simply by sharing the show. There's been, it's like, we gain new people, time to time new people pop in, and that's great. And then sometimes people start yelling at them. Like people in the chat room start being mean to new people. You people in the chat room, man, you need to be more welcoming. Because if you do enjoy this show, you got to help it survive, man. You got to help it grow. Some of you do with tips, and I appreciate that. You guys, man, you guys are the best. And you can tip the show. It's right down there. There you go. Venmo, PayPal, that's how the show runs. But just, it's the sharing, and it's the promotion. Promote the show to your friends. That's how it grows. That was the conceit from the very beginning, that we can grow this way if we make positive connections with people and we get a core group. I said when we first started the show, if we could just get 20 people every day to promote the show to their friends, that's how you grow exponentially. And that hasn't happened. And I blame you people. I do. I blame you people. But by the same token, it is you people who have kept it on this long. So you guys, look, we're family. That's what this is. This is me. This is me yelling at you people because we're family. And then I'll apologize like I'm doing now. But that's the state. Anyway, I think a lot of changes come into this show. We know we're going to do our summer break at some point where we take a couple of weeks off because I'm going to have my kid and we'll probably want to do some kind of, summer vacation thing. So we'll do that. We don't have any plans for that yet, but we'll do that like we did last year. Excuse me. And after that, I think after that is when either the show will come back in a different form at a different time. Here's the bottom line. This is a really bad time for me to be dedicating every single day. You know how many meetings, how many opportunities, how many other things occur between say noon and 2. So, it's just a bad time. It's, I thought it was a natural time for me to do it because I did middays in some way, shape, or form for a decade plus. I don't know. I'm feeling better. If you're wondering, hey, Pugs, how you feeling? You've been sick all day. Adam wants NFL draft talk. And the NFL draft is trending, so there'll be some tiny tidbit of that. But yeah, I don't get to do my big NFL geek out. Maybe I will. Maybe at the end of the show. Adam, come back at the end of the show. I don't know when that's going to be. We got a full show today. We got a good show today. I like what we got today. I like the stuff that's trending, and I like the stuff that's happened in the past, and that's what this show is. We start out by giving you all of the events that occurred on this day throughout history, right? We call it erstwhile on this date in history. And we go through that, and then we talk about some of the people who were born, and then we talk about some of the people who we've lost, right? And so after that, after we know the history of the day, what has preceded this edition of the 28th? Sorry, I thought my battery was dying. Oh, that's the other thing. So many issues. So we go through all of those things. We set the table for what we should expect from this day. And then we go through all of the events that are actually popping off today. The things people are talking about, the headlines, the hot topics, the current events, all of that good stuff. It will do that. And that's pretty much what this show is. Every day, Monday through Friday, right here at noon. So without any further ado, how are my allergies? Man, they're not better. They're not better. I took my medicine today because I have to tell you, the allergies are so bad that the weekend with the kid, this is kid's weekend, this is my boy's weekend, it's in jeopardy. It's absolutely in jeopardy. Because I am no fun to be around. And he's got, he's like, well, you don't sound good, Dad. I'm like, I'm not good. Are we still going to be able to do all our baseball stuff? And I'm like, yeah, sure we will. Even though I'm like, I have no energy. This is completely I like my voice, though. I like the way my voice sounds. If we could keep it here, this would be good. It's got more bass than normal, It's not all high and screechy. It's scratchy, but I don't know. That was screechy what I just did there. So I got a lot on my mind. For today. But let's forget about all that nonsense and let's lose ourselves in what today is. Today is high noon for the 28th day of April, year of our Lord, 2023. April 28th is the 118th day of the year. What does that mean? Do the quick math. 247. I beat you. 247 days remaining until the end of the year. All right, on this day, we're going to go all the way back to 1788. Congratulations, Maryland. On this day, you became the 7th state to ratify the United States Constitution. Welcome to the party, Maryland. On this day in 1789. What's that noise? Hold on. You hearing that? There's like a weird noise. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. There's I don't know if there's a faucet running or something, or if there's something going on at the pool. I'll be right back. It's this. It's the air escaping from a 2-liter bottle in the trash. How weird is that? That's crazy. All right. That's just a empty 2-liter bottle. You can just chuck that on the floor. All right. There we go. First mystery solved. Look at us. All right. On this day in 1789, And this is wild, because when I read this morning. On this day in 1789, mutiny on the Bounty. Lieutenant William Bligh and 18 sailors are set adrift, and the rebel crew returns to Tahiti briefly. Here's why this is wild. I didn't know until this very morning that Mutiny on the Bounty was a real story. I don't know. I just thought it was... Who wrote that? Dickens? You know, I'm like, isn't that just like some old story? Excuse me. Just toss that there as well. On this day in 1881, Billy the Kid escapes from the Lincoln County Jail in Mesilla, New Mexico. Billy the Kid. You can find, if they're looking for him, they can find him over there at Kiss FM. Hey, look at me. Funny. Thank you. Born on this day in 1945. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We're not in the born. See, I'm scattered because I took those stupid pills. And maybe I'm going to vomit again today. Won't that be exciting? I'm actually looking forward to the reaction of these pills making me vomit at some point during today's show, because as history has told us, whenever I vomit, I get really better and I rally strong. So this, you know, when I talk about how science is great, doctors are great, they can do a heart transplant and all that stuff, but we don't know anything about the mind. Like, the mind is still a massive mystery. We are basically apes when it comes to understanding humanity and all of this kind of stuff. So the mind is the most difficult frontier for us to truly get into and understand. And we seem to, in this day and age, have more of a acceptance of the plight of those with mental issues and, problems, and discussing our own mental health and all that. That's all great and well and good and all that, but we still don't understand it. We understand it the way cavemen understood electricity. That is basically how so we're not there yet. I know it's easy for the modern man to go, look at us at the apex, it can't get any better. Well, they said that in like 1450 too. They can't get any better. Got a donkey pulling a cart. That was like a big deal. So, I don't want to go off on that tangent. I'm sorry. I'm so sketchy right now. What was I saying? What was I talking about? I was talking about mental health. How do we get into a mental health tangent? I know. My body just reminded me. We don't understand mental health. We don't understand how the mind works. We don't understand these things that occur. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example. For a lot of these past shows, I'll sit down here and we'll start doing the show, and then I'll get hiccups. And the hiccups would occur at the same time in every show, right? That's mental. That is totally mental. That is me doing it to myself in some subconscious way that I don't understand. Because, how do I know it's mental? Because what do? I turn the thing off, I turn the camera off, and I go into my mental strong place, and I fucking kill my hiccups. I can kill my hiccups by just acknowledging that this is psychosomatic. This is not real. I'm wondering if the puking is a part of that as well. Like, has the puking replaced, because I've puked 2 days in a row, right? Is it 2 or 3? God, I think today would be 3. It's weird. On this day in 1945, Benito Mussolini and his mistress, Clara Petacci, are shot dead by Walter Audisio, a member of the Italian resistance movement. Yeah, we talked about how he was arrested a couple days ago, right? On this day, Benito Mussolini arrested. Yeah, this is when they gacked him. This is when he got the despot's death. That's what he got. On this day in 1952, Dwight David Eisenhower resigns as the Supreme Allied Commander of NATO in order to run for president. That's right, he did it. He stepped down. He said, I can do it better. He was a good president. Eisenhower was a good president. He was an honest president. Dude was a military general. And he introduced to the lexicon the term vast military industrial complex. He called that out, a Republican, an arch-conservative Republican, back before all the political partisan bullshit entered into our whole thing. Here was a guy who was just looking at the situation. He had bona fides up the ass as the Supreme Allied Commander in World War II. Conservative. He's a military man. And he's the one, a conservative Republican who said, we're spending way too much on defense. We're getting built. There's people in the military industrial complex who are getting really wealthy, and we don't need all this stuff. Eisenhower said that. Not fucking Obama. Not Clinton. Not some libtard. No, Eisenhower said that. And yet today we act like, oh, that raging liberal Eisenhower. By no stretch of the imagination could Eisenhower ever be considered a liberal. But, because he speaks out against the moneybag people who have been grifting us for generations now. I mean, going all the way back to Eisenhower saw it. The military industrial complex. He was speaking truth. Yeah. Anyway, on this day in 1969, Charles de Gaulle resigns as president of France. What was that about? In 69, Charles de Gaulle, what was he, 105? I mean, Charles de Gaulle must have been an old-ass man. On this day in 1969, he steps down. One of the great French popular leaders. He's widely regarded as the hero of the French resistance. I like de Gaulle. De Gaulle's got a really interesting story, man. That dude just loved his country. That dude was just all about, how do we survive this? He knew that he couldn't survive the initial Nazi onslaught. He knew that. He knew in order to save his country that he had to flee. He had to establish a resistance, which the French military under de Gaulle had been doing for a long time. And then he had to run that from the Four Seasons in London. That's right. De Gaulle ran his army's war against the Nazi onslaught from a hotel room in London. It was, it's a cool story. It's a really cool story. De Gaulle's not a pussy, man. I keep saying the French are not pussies. I mean, who's the pussy? Charlemagne? Charlemagne was the pussy? Yeah, French, real pussies. Napoleon? Napoleon was the pussy? He conquered the known world. Really? That's what we're talking. De Gaulle was a pussy? Well, you don't know anything about history if you think de Gaulle was a pussy. Here's a fun one. I like this one. On this day in 1973, The Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, recorded at Abbey Road Studios, don't you know, goes to number 1 on the U.S. Billboard charts, beginning a record-breaking 741-week run. When did that end? I don't even know. I can't do that math. Can you get to that math? Okay, so if it was 1973, 741 weeks is what? 4 years? I don't know. Whatever it is. That's a long time. Was never a fan of Dark Side of the Moon. Was never a fan of Pink Floyd because I was a dumb kid. I was a dumb kid who was like, that's stoner burnout music and I like punk rock. I was like that. Then I became a grown-up where you mature and you start to appreciate things for reasons other than my friends think this is gay. Right? That was like a big motivator back then. So I got a little bit older, and I rediscovered Pink Floyd, and I went, these guys kind of fucking rock. These guys are kind of great. This is awesome. But I'll tell you what did it for me on the Dark Side of the Moon thing. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, Jesus, now I'm going to sneeze. Which means I am a domino sneezer, which means that I will now sneeze over-under on my sneezes. 5? I'll take the over. That means there's going to be 5 more sneezes. There'll be more than 5 more sneezes before we're done here. Although maybe not, because now I've said it, and mentally, this is what my co-host, schizophrenic me, does to me. Right? He's like, oh, you just said that you're gonna sneeze. Now you're not gonna sneeze. No, I'm not gonna make you sneeze. Schizophrenic me is my alter ego that lives inside my head. Sometimes. Is the house on fire now? Did you hear that? Did you hear like 5 fire engines just rush by? All right, the house does not look to be on fire. Neither does the neighbors, so I think we're good. Dark Side of the Moon really began to be something that I appreciated after doing that Dark Side of Oz. You ever done that? Oh, that's fun. That's crazy fun. And I was such a skeptic. I was like, this is dumb. This doesn't work. So if you're familiar with what Dark Side of Oz is, there is an idea that the band Pink Floyd created the album Dark Side of the Moon as a musical companion piece, as almost like a score to the film Wizard of Oz. And I don't know who discovered this, but somebody discovered it in like the 1970s or something, that if you put on the Wizard of Oz and you put on Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon and you hit play. This is back in the VCR days. And you hit play on the VCR. And I believe it's the second roar. You know the lion in the old MGM before movies would start. I think it was 3 roars. After the second roar, after hit play and hit play, right? So you got both your remotes. So it's the roar. Hit play on the VCR and hit play on the CD player. Have you ever done it? I mean, they say like, no, dude, you gotta get really high. I've done it not high. It's still really cool. It's crazy. It's crazy how they sync up. It's crazy how they will say things in the album that are directly describing what you're seeing in the movie. It's like the best part for me, the part that made me go. I mean, I remember the first time I saw this, I stood up and I went, I'm out. I go, God and the devil are having a battle right now in this living room, and I'm getting the fuck out of here because this is too weird. The part that did it for me was when, excuse me, when the Wizard of Oz changes over from black and white to color. At that point in the movie, Dorothy has just landed in Oz. And she's in her house, and it's landed on the witch, right? And she's in her house, and she opens the door to Oz, right? And that's when you see the color. That's when the color comes in. It's one of the cool little sci-fi things that the Wizard of Oz did that we all take for granted now. But back then it was like, wow, black and white and color? But in the movie, when Dorothy's house lands in Oz, it lands in Oz at the exact same moment a song ends. So it's like, the house is spinning. And it's silent as Dorothy gets out of her bed and walks over to the door to open and see where she is. And as she opens the door and the world becomes color, the song Money comes in. You know the song Money? Money! Boom, 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 boom. But you know how that song starts? It starts with the cash register. Or whatever that is. You know, that it's like, boom, 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 boom. As she opens the door and color is revealed, you get the cash register. Oh, it's so mind-blowing. It's like, are you kidding me? That's my favorite part. I don't know that that's the best part, but that's the part that just blew me away. That's the part. There are a bunch of other things. I mean, throughout the entire deal of Dark Side of Oz, as they call it, I believe there's a YouTube. You can pull it up on YouTube. There's Dark Side of Oz. Somebody synced it up, and you can just watch it. So that's the modern world. It's that easy. But it's pretty cool. Pretty cool if you want to get a bunch of friends together and go, what are you doing tonight? There's something going on. You know, Mavs aren't in the playoffs. You know, watch Dark Side of Oz on YouTube. It's pretty cool. But be high. I'm thinking that's probably better. Yep. Mm-hmm. Absolutely feel like I'm going to puke. I'm going to puke again. My allergies are not good. They're not getting better. They're getting better, but they're not gone. Excuse me. I'm getting so tired of turning my mic off and all this stuff. All right. Where are we? So, Dark Side of the Moon on this day in 1973. On this day in 1986, high levels of radiation resulting from the Chernobyl disaster are detected at a nuclear power plant in Sweden, leading Soviet authorities to publicly announce the accident. See, that's how the Soviets did back then. Back in the Cold War, the Soviets wouldn't admit to anything. They made no mistakes. They were perfect. You know, overcompensating for much. You know. The Soviet Union claimed during the Cold War, they claimed that they had never had an aviation disaster. And every time an American plane would crash, or every time a Western plane would crash, they would say they've never had an aviation disaster. And then the fall of the Soviet Union happens, and we learn, you guys have had like 1,000 times more aviation disasters than us. Your Aeroflot, or whatever your airline is, those things crash all the time. You just never told the world. And that's kind of what happened with Chernobyl. Chernobyl happened in 86, and they were like, let's not say anything. And then the wind took all the radiation, and Sweden started getting it, and they're like, okay, all right, something happened here. That was on this day. On this day in 1988, near Maui, Hawaii, flight attendant Clara Bell C.B. Lansing is blown out of a plane, a Boeing 737, and falls to her death when part of the plane's fuselage rips open in mid-flight. You remember that? This has happened a couple of times. Oh, God. Now, this particular story is, the plane weapon in mid-flight and suck the flight attendant out. Right out the window. Because the plane wasn't maintained. The plane wasn't maintained. And this became like a big deal. This became the start of the whole regulation thing. Because this was all a part of Reagan's, what he did with the FAA. Remember, he fired all the air traffic controllers, and then he rebuilt the FAA and all this kind of stuff. And he eliminated a lot of the regulations, like making sure the planes won't break apart in air. It's not that. Look, that's the way you look at it through history's lens when you're angry, right? You say it that way. But in the moment, what it was they, instead of having mandatory federal aviation checks on structures and all that of airplanes, the government, Reagan's plan under Reagan, was that we can just trust the airlines because it's in their best interest not to have people die, right? Trust the rich guys. And they didn't. Of course they didn't, because somebody in their accounting department went, well, if we don't have to pay for these inspections every 6 weeks and we just do them like, I don't know, every year and a half or something, we can save X amount of, and they went with that. They went, what's the worst that can happen? Well, a stewardess was blown out of the plane. And you know what? They probably didn't give a shit about that. They're like, oh, fuck, we got caught. That was probably their reaction. So now we have more stringent, we're back to pre-Reagan regulations as far as airlines and as far as the planes are maintained and maintenance and all that. Just remember this story whenever anybody goes, you don't need regulations. Business can be trusted to do the right thing. Yeah, okay. All right. Let's see here. What else do we have? On this day in 2004, CBS News released evidence of torture at Abu Ghraib. Remember that? Remember when Abu Ghraib was a thing? Weren't these people terrorists? I mean, look, torture is a very complicated thing. But I'm the kind of guy who thinks, if you're a piece of shit, and if you have caused exponential damage to humanity based on the way you lead your life, and you've got some information that we need, if someone can prove to me that torture works, I say go for it. Torture these people. But I don't know if torture works. I don't know. I think, because I know that if someone was going to torture me, if I didn't know anything about anything, if I was just caught up in something and I'm tied to a chair and they're they're doing the Reservoir Dogs, dudes doing the stuck in the middle dance, and I'm sitting there and I'm I don't fucking know what this guy wants out of me. I would tell him anything he wants to know. I tend to think that that's the reaction of a lot of people who are facing torture. So I don't know if it's effective. But if you can show me it's effective, fuck yeah. I mean, I have no moral problem giving bad, evil people a bad time. I don't really care what it is. Because if we're not all pulling in the same direction as a human race, which we are absolutely not, and we probably never will, because I think that's the flaw in humanity, is that we're narcissists. We only take care of ourselves. We don't see ourselves as, a part of something greater that is in our all best interest to see thrive. We don't really recognize it that way. We see it as, get off my lawn, weirdo. That's kind of how we are. And that's, I think, the fatal flaw of humanity. But whatever, that's what evolution is about. Maybe in 1,000 years, we'll be a little bit different. Hey, 1,000 years ago, I imagine those people were just complete pieces of shit. So based on what we are, we get better. There is hope. There is hope for the future. That's why we keep having kids. Keep hoping that something better will happen. All right, let's get into some birthdays, huh? Some people who celebrating birthdays, born onto this world on this day. We're going to go all the way back to 1878. Why? Because we all like Drew Barrymore, right? There would be no Drew Barrymore without Lionel Barrymore. That's right. He is the first of the Barrymore actors. A lot of Barrymores throughout time. I think every generation of Hollywood has had a Barrymore. We need a new, let's be honest, we need a new Barrymore, though. Because Drew's like, what, 50? We need a 20-year-old Barrymore now, just to carry it on. What else do we have? Born on this day in 1926, Harper Lee, American novelist. Harper Lee of the To Kill a Mockingbird, right? Is that the only book she wrote? I think it actually might be. It actually might be the only book she wrote. She was a good friend, and she worked very closely with Truman Capote, and he was sort of her backer. hold on. I'll tell you, if you can only write one book, if you're just going to write one book, make it be To Kill a Mockingbird. That's probably a good plan. She had a good plan there. Sorry, I'm trying to do something with my phone and it isn't working. Harper Lee, born on this day in 1926, died in 2016. Born on this day in 1937, Saddam Hussein. There you go. Happy birthday, Saddam Hussein. Born on this day in I don't have anything else to say about Saddam Hussein. Born on this day in 1941. Oh my God, this one. Anne Margaret. Huh? Can we? Can we just? Anne Margaret. Boy, oh boy. Anne Margaret's always the one I throw out when people go, Marilyn Monroe was the most beautiful woman. And then I go, no, she wasn't. And they go, well, she was the prettiest of her time. I go, no, she wasn't. And then I run down a list of women who are just obviously more beautiful than Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe had a round, fat face. She was cute. Marilyn Monroe was cute, but she played the whole sex thing. And that was the lure that you could get Marilyn Monroe. Because she played like she was stupid. And like, oh, Daddy, I need your help. Like, that was her whole vibe. So guys are like, that's hot. You know. Whereas Anne Margaret was just like, oh, man, Anne Margaret. She was great. She dead? No, she's still living. Born on this day in 1941. Oh, she's got a lot of time left. Anne Margaret's not as old as I thought. I would have thought Anne Margaret was born in like 1930. Born on this day in 1948. Here's another weird, hot one. This is, well, not that Anne Margaret's weird. She's not. She's actually pretty cool. I mean, never met her. She just seems cool. Born on this day in 1948. This is a woman who I watched religiously. Well, you know, she's probably known for like one thing, and I've seen every episode of her TV show. And when I was little, and I guess this is the magic of puberty, when I was little, I didn't really notice anything special about her. She was just, whatever. Oh, now she's doing a scene, huh? Okay, get back to the funny guys. But as I grew older, I started to look back at that, and I'm like, good damn, Mrs. Cotter is kind of hot. That's right, it's Marcia Strassman's birthday. Julie Cotter from Welcome Back, Kotter. She had the big glasses and the long hippie hair, but man, do you see those sweaters she's wearing and that body she has? Oh, and she's really pretty. But they tried to make her like Hollywood homely, where they just put glasses on her. Jeez, man, that was like, after further review, Julie Cotter is hot. Born on this day in 1949, Bruno Kirby. Oh, Bruno Kirby. Remember Bruno Kirby? Bruno Kirby was funny, man. He had about 5 years where he was a working actor for a long time, and he was chugging away, and he's like, oh, he's a that guy actor. And then he gets in City Slickers, and he becomes a lead. He becomes a star. He becomes like, oh, Bruno Kirby. Him. We know who he is now. He's just not a that guy actor. He's Bruno Kirby. And then he dies. And then he just dies. Bruno Kirby. He just dropped dead. I don't know what he died of. Died in 2006. That was sad. You know who's never going to die? The indestructible Jay Leno, celebrating a birthday today, born on this day in 1949. Jay Leno. He's indestructible. Dude, motorcycle accidents, car explosions, whatever it is, he's still going to do that date at the Rio in Vegas. He's going to get there one way or another. They have to roll him in and like burn victim tape. He's going to be, did you hear about? I mean, you know, that's Jay Leno. Dude is indestructible. Born on this day in 1952, Mary McDonnell. You don't know who she is. You know who she is if you saw her. You'd be like, oh, I know who she is. Mary McDonnell started out Dances with Wolves, right? She was the Indian lady. Dunbar. Remember, she was trying to learn his name. His name was like John Dunbar. And she's the Indian girl, and she's like, Dunbar. Anyway, she went on to be the president in Battlestar Galactica. Did a whole bunch of stuff. Mary McDonnell's great. Born on this day in 1953, Kim Gordon, American singer and songwriter, guitarist, and producer. Of course, Sonic Youth. Sonic Youth. Look, to be Gen Xer, right? I'm a Gen Xer, an alt-rock guy from the earliest stages. Yeah, I got my Q101 cred. I got that cred. Q101 was an alt-rock station. The Midwest Alternative Powerhouse. Q101. I never liked Sonic Youth. I never liked them. And it seems like by default, there were people who were like, yeah, man, my favorite band is Pearl Jam. What about Sonic Youth? Oh, yeah, they're great, too. Name a Sonic Youth song. I can't do that. No. It's like Sonic Youth, they were all right. All right. I couldn't name a Sonic Youth. Can I name a Sonic Youth song? Which is crazy because this is my wheelhouse. I'm like, I've seen Sonic Youth. I don't think I can name a Sonic Youth song. Anyway, Kim Gordon, happy birthday to you. Hope you have a good one. Born on this day in 1966. Without doubt, the most fun golfer of all time. John Daly. Big old John Daly bombing it down the fairway. Cigarette in his hand. 46-inch waist. Just, golf is a sport. I'm an athlete. It's whatever. Whatever, Daly. He's fun, though. John Daly is fun. I'd like to go partying with that guy. All right, we're going to go on a run here of a couple of babes. We call this 3 babes and a bust. That's right, 3 babes and a bust. Born on this day in 1971, Bridget Moynihan. Bridget Moynihan was Tom Brady's girlfriend. They dated for 2 years. They broke up, and then she called him 4 months later and goes, dude, I'm pregnant. And so remember, it was Tom Brady had a baby with Bridget Moynihan, and then he went off with Gisele Bündchen. I never really understood that. Gisele Bündchen's beautiful, but so is Michelle Moynihan, or Bridget Moynihan. Michelle Moynihan, that's another one. But so is Bridget Moynihan. She's gorgeous. She's so beautiful. It just seems like, I don't know, Hollywood TV actress, because that's really what Bridget Moynihan is. Hollywood TV actress or supermodel. I think both of them are very high maintenance. Both of them be difficult, but I think supermodel is worse. You got Bridget, or you got Giselle running around. She's like, I'm a witch. It's just weirdness. But I never understood why Tom Brady just walked, they're both 10s. They're both beautiful women. But here's what I think. So here's what I think happened. Bridget Moynihan is significantly older than Tom Brady, by about 8 years or so, I think. Tom Brady was a young quarterback who was all of a sudden thrust in the spotlight. He was a draft afterthought, really, at quarterback. I don't think anybody ever intended him to be Tom Brady. He was just some guy on a quarterback that they took, I believe, in the 5th round. By the way, NFL draft weekend is going on. So, when you just start dismissing your team's 5th, 4th, 6th, 7th round pick, don't. I can give you a list. I had a list prepared when I thought I was going to do a draft of all of the players who are superstars and Hall of Famers who were drafted in the 4th round or later. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them because draft experts don't know dick. They don't know dick. Their entire paycheck is depending on them pulling a con on the American public where we're convinced, we the American public, that these people have some sort of special way of watching football. We all watch football, right? We all can identify. Anybody who's watched football for 30 years knows the ins and the outs and knows what a position, what a skill set for a specific position is. But yet, you got your Todd McShays and oh boy, look at what I'm doing. I'm at Adam Rayner. That's for you, baby. That's for you. I almost went into a draft rant. We'll get there. But we're going to move on. Anyway, my reason for Tom Brady is he was a young quarterback. And she was not much older, but 8 years older, hot actress. And I think he was the first of that tier of girlfriend for him to have access to. I mean, before that, he was just a guy that was drafted by the Patriots. So what was he getting? He was getting the hottest bartender in Boston, which is good. That's what the Patriots backup. You expect a backup quarterback for the New England Patriots that nobody knows their name, except locally, some people know their name. He's going to have a hot girlfriend because it's still high profile. But it's the hottest bartender in Boston. That's who Tom Brady should have been with. But all of a sudden, he becomes Tom Brady, and now he doesn't have to be dating the hottest bartender in Boston. He's got a Hollywood movie star, and is she showing him things, taking him to parties he's never been to, introducing him to, I met Will Ferrell, stuff like that. It's very exciting for him. So she was kind of milfy, I think, for him. And then as Tom Brady went on to become Tom Brady, he started to realize, hold on, wait a second, I can get this level of woman, and she doesn't have to be 8 years older than me. I really think that's what it was. I think that he realized, okay, I kind of like her, but am I going to marry her? Am I going to be 45 with a 50-something-year-old wife? I'm Tom Brady, for crying out loud. I've never eaten a strawberry. I am taking care of myself. I should just every year have a different 23-year-old girlfriend. I'm Tom Brady. I really do think that's how he thought about it. Because I can't think of any other reason why you would just walk away from Bridget Moynihan. She looks absolutely delicious. As I said, 3 babes and a bust. Bridget Moynihan, the first babe. How about this babe, born in 1974? Penelope Cruz. Ever wanted to have sex with a human woman who looks like a bird? That's her. She looks like a bird. It's the weirdest thing. I acknowledge Penelope Cruz is hot. The actress Penelope Cruz is hot, man. But then I also acknowledge she looks like a bird. She looks like if you. Sometimes when I look at people, I think, okay, if we were to draw you as an animal version of yourself, what would you be, right? Like, I'm obviously a pug dog. I don't even know how that worked, right? But it's, it's my nickname. My nickname isn't Pugs because I look like a pug dog, okay? It comes from a whole baseball thing. Anyway, it's not because I look like a pug dog. Yet, I actually look like a pug dog. I actually do. Somebody did that once. They took a pug dog and then they morphed my face into it. And I'm like, holy shit, I look like a dog. Penelope Cruz looks like a bird. All right, that's 2. I said 3 babes and a bust. Penelope Cruz is the second babe, born on this date in 1974. Third babe, in our 3 babes and a bust, Jessica Alba. Ooh, she might be the best of them all, huh? Jessica Alba. What was her show? How did we all get... she had a really stupid show, but she wore leather. Or wait, was that Jennifer Garner? Jessica Alba and Jennifer Garner both had very similar shows, and they both sucked, and they were both only on for a year. But they were really hot girls in leather from head to toe, and they both became famous. Jessica Alba... Dark Angel? Jessica Alba, Dark Alias. No? Is it Alias? Which was Jennifer Garner? I'm not sure. Anyway, Jessica Alba, fantastic. So there you go. Those are the 3 babes. 3 babes and a bust is what I promised you. Bridget Moynihan, Penelope Cruz, and Jessica Alba, all celebrating birthdays today. How about the bust? Happy birthday, Blake Bortles. Yeah, Blake Bortles. Tragic quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Everybody thought he was going to be good. Nope. Sorry, Blake. The best thing that Blake Bortles ever did was become a running joke on the show The Good Place. That is the best thing that I could say about Blake Bortles, is that name-checking Blake Bortles in the show The Good Place was a running gag for the entire... One of the characters was obsessed with the Jacksonville Jaguars. There you go. That's 3 babes and a bust. How about this one? Here you go. Happy birthday to one of our own here. Dallas Cowboy, great. Born on this day in 1992, DeMarcus Lawrence, ladies and gentlemen, celebrating a birthday today. American football player, it says here, but we all know about Dallas Cowboy. Wait. Hold on a second here. Excuse me. Take a moment. Take a breath. Why am I having this issue? Okay, we're back. Happy birthday to Marcus Lawrence. Born on this day in 1993, Matt Chapman, American baseball player. He's a baller. I'm a baseball geek, so I won't waste my time telling you about Matt Chapman, but I like him. Born on, or dead, we're going to do some deaths now. Dead today, dead on this day in 2007, left this plane of existence. How about Tommy Newsom? Tommy Newsom. Do you remember Tommy Newsom? Tommy Newsom was the discount version of Doc Severinsen, who was the discount version of Ed McMahon, who was the discount version of Johnny Carson. There you go. That's it. Tommy Newsom was the guy in the band. So, if it was ratings week, you'd get Full Metal Tonight Show. Full Metal Tonight Show is Johnny hosting, DeCordova producing, Ed McMahon sidekicking, Doc Severinsen conducting, and Tommy Newsom just there at the piano. Sometimes you'd get something really bad. Sometimes you'd get Joan Rivers hosting, her husband Edgar producing, Doc Severinsen sidekicking, and Tommy Newsom conducting the band. There you go. Tommy Newsom. He seemed like a nice little man. He kind of looked like Tim Conway. They always made fun of him because he was quiet. That means in TV circles that he had no wit. and no ability to like fire back. So he was just quiet and he became the butt of jokes. Tommy Newsom died on this day in 2007. Here's a tragic one. This one absolutely sucks. This one sucks. This is terrible. This is scary as shit, man. Dead on this day in 2019. Great American filmmaker, John Singleton. John Singleton died on this day. Dropped dead, heart attack, young man, early 50s. Boys in the Hood. Okay, so we can talk about his movies, but what I really want to talk about with John Singleton is his show, Snowfall. John Singleton had a TV, well, it's still in production. As a matter of fact, I've got a couple episodes left in the new season that I got to binge this weekend. John Singleton created a television show for the FX network, and it was a very controversial television show. And I remember when this show was first announced that it was going to be on. And I took note of it. I went, holy shit, John Singleton is doing this story. And it's basically a fictionalized story of the Freeway Rick Ross tale. Now, I don't know if you know, Freeway Rick Ross was a crack dealer in South Central Los Angeles back in the 1980s. Freeway Rick Ross is the guy who entered into a partnership with the CIA. The CIA, this is something that for years was a conspiracy theory that is now documented. Everybody's like, yeah, we did that, sorry. Although nobody's taking credit or responsibility for the crack epidemic, we are kind of going, we know where all that coke that was made into crack that suddenly found its way into South Central Los Angeles came from. So here was the deal. There was a war going on in Central America. And we as the United States government, we wanted to beat the communists out of Central America. So we wanted to go to war. But freaking Tip O'Neill and his stupid libtard led... Yeah, I say this because I'm not divisive. Like, I'm not political. So I say libtards the way I say crazy MAGA weirdos, right? And they're all the same to me. Anyway. So Tip O'Neill wouldn't let Reagan go into Central America and wage a war, wouldn't fund the war. So they had to come up with some curious ways of making some money. And, Iran-Contra is all a part of this. It's all so woven together. It's so complicated. Anyway, one of the ways that they came up with was the CIA said, how can we make money? How do we make money here? We need to fund the arming of these rebels against these communist forces. So they decided, hey, there's a lot of cocaine down there. There's a lot of drugs. What if we sold drugs and then bought M16s and tanks and bombs and all that stuff with the drug money that we make? And they said, okay, we got drugs. How are we going to do this? And according to Rick Ross, Freeway Rick Ross, not the rap guy, according to Freeway Rick Ross, in his story, the CIA acquired a whole bunch of cocaine. They started to create these channels where the CIA could smuggle in cocaine. Okay, it's the CIA. It's the Central Intelligence Agency. So the CIA was doing an off-the-books dark op where they were trying to raise money to buy guns for the war effort there in Central America. So they had a whole bunch of cocaine and they said, let's sell cocaine. And they said, no, don't sell cocaine because the only people who can buy cocaine are upper middle class white people. And upper middle class white people with too much trouble. We start flooding the world with cocaine and all of a sudden there's a bunch of upper middle class white people ODing on cocaine. People are going, where's all this at? They're going to trace it. Somebody's going to look into it. Somebody's going to look into it if all of a sudden there's all this cocaine coming into the country because those are rich people that buy cocaine. So they said, nah, who doesn't nobody care about? And they went, poor people. How about ghetto people? We don't care. Let's sell cocaine to the ghetto people. And the problem there was, ghetto people can't afford cocaine. Cocaine is way too expensive. So what are you going to do? So that's where crack was created. The idea of taking cocaine and creating a derivative of cocaine easily. I guess easily. I don't know how to make crack, but whatever. It seems like dudes, in South Central figured it out. So it's got to be easy. So they decided that they would make crack. And Freeway Rick Ross was the crack dealer or the cocaine dealer or the drug dealer who was approached by the CIA. And Freeway Rick Ross became one of the biggest coke dealers, crack dealers, drug dealers in the history of America. And he did it by buying his product So he claims, 100% from the CIA. Now, I say so he claims. That's all been pretty much documented. And that is the story that is told in John Singleton's now 5 seasons, Snowfall. Snowfall on FX. It is so good. But it tells a story that maybe a lot of people, with their flag pins and freedom and no Bud Light, it tells a story that maybe they don't want to hear. But it's a compelling story, and it's a fascinating story. And, if you were around back then, all of a sudden, crack was a thing. Crack was never a thing, and then all of a sudden we're crack baby, crack mama, crack, 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 crack. And again, the idea was that the CIA could more easily hide their illicit money funding if they were basically just victimizing a group of people who nobody gave a fuck about. It was like, that's poor people. What? Oh, a bunch of poor people are going to start ODing. Nobody's going to give a shit. However, if they were selling good flake cocaine, all of a sudden you got the president of a bank dying in the shitter at the office. Now you're going to give some inquiries. There's going to be some questions. Bunch of crackheads end up in an alley. They're going to be like, oh, well, look, drug addicts, who cares? Move on. Snowfall, John Singleton. I think it's his best work. I think Snowfall is... I don't know how... Here's the thing. The first 3 seasons of Snowfall is amazing. Season 4 and 5 are getting a little bit different. See, I think season 4 and 5, we have now left the story of Freeway Rick Ross, and we have now moved into the story of Franklin, who is the fictional character at the heart of the show Snowfall. John Singleton, I think he did the first 2 seasons of Snowfall. It may have even been just the first season of Snowfall, but he's the executive producer and the creator, and he still gets the big John Singleton on it. And John Singleton dropped dead on this day in 2019. Singleton was great, man. That dude made cool movies. Boys in the Hood is cool. Boys in the Hood is a cool movie. And that's how he broke onto the scene. He was like 20 years old or something like that. Hold on, sorry. Snowfall proves that our government hates poor people, Leslie says. I don't know that it proves that. I think it proves that we're not above exploiting a group of people for our own ends. And, the argument has to be made. I didn't want communism in Central America. I mean, I'm glad that there's not 5 different Cubas. So, if I was in Congress back then, I probably would have voted to fund Reagan's campaigns there because that was a big deal. It was the Cold War. I mean, maybe by 2023 lens, you look back and you go, oh, it wasn't that big of a fear. But back then, it was a real fear, man. We didn't know that the Soviet Union and communism was going to collapse in 5 or 6 years. We didn't know that then. We thought we are in a knife fight for our survival here. Democracy, the American way, freedom, liberty, all that stuff that we hold so near and dear. We got to do whatever it takes. So, I mean, but then you had a bunch of people, no war in Central America. But communism is kind of a good reason, I think. Anything that threatens our way of life and is just on our doorstep. What I'm saying is, there is a conversation, there's a rational conversation that cool-headed people can have about this situation. But Snowfall, man, that story. Look into the story of Freeway Rick Ross. There's documentaries about him. I read a book about 10 years ago. It was a biography of Freeway Rick Ross written by a Rolling Stone writer. I can't remember who it was, but it was great. And it was turned into a documentary, and if you've seen the Freeway Rick Ross documentary, you know what that is. Also, dead on this day in 2021. You know how we like to honor our real heroes, true heroes, real American hero. Michael Collins, American astronaut, died on this day in 2021. Who was Michael Collins? The loneliest man in the world. Loneliest man in the universe, I believe is what they used to call him. The loneliest man in the universe. Michael Collins was the Apollo 11 crew member who had to stay on board. He didn't get to go down to the lunar surface. Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong got to go down, but somebody had to stay with the car. It's like, so he got that one. I know that, I know. How do you think that went in like the ramp up? Like, were they like, okay, so, you guys are about to make history. You're about to be the first human beings to do something that nobody's ever done. You're going to be instantly etched in stone into the histories of our time. You will never be forgotten. No one will ever forget your name. Bad news is only two of you are going to get to do that. The other one's got to hold the coats. That's basically what Michael Collins had to do. Michael Collins was the fat girl out with two hot girls. The two hot girls are dancing, and Michael Collins is standing there holding the coats. He died. He's a hero, though. Loneliest man in the universe, they called him, because at some point he had to go around the dark side of the moon because he was orbiting the moon. And when he would go around to the dark side of the moon, he lost all and total radio contact with everybody. The guys on the moon, back there at Houston Control, and he was as isolated as any human being has ever been. Died on this day in 2021, Michael Collins. True hero. He didn't get to go down there, man, but look, he's one of them, one of the Apollo crew members. All right, let's talk about what's happening in the world today. Do we feel like we've gotten through, we understand what this day has meant throughout history? I think we do. I like it. Let's move on to what's happening today. Russian nuke tests. That's right. Russia is saber rattling again. So there's a moratorium on nuclear testing. It's been for a long time. We all agree. The whole world agrees. We're like, all right, we have achieved parity. That's at least according to the East. Russia demands nuclear parity, and because they don't want to be, obviously, it's just two guys with the same guns pointing them at each other. That's parity. He's got the same gun you got. So that's basically what this moratorium is about. And the testing of nuclear weapons suggests that you are developing new nuclear weapons. So why would you test weapons that you've already perfected? So that's where we're supposed to be. So there ain't nobody testing any weapons. Russia says they're going to start testing weapons. Now, Russia says they're going to start testing weapons because they say we're testing weapons, which the way American media is now, there's no way we are conducting nuclear tests and nobody is posting about it, right? There's nobody. Do you know, the guy that rats out that we're nuclear testing, that guy becomes a star. That guy becomes an influencer. He suddenly has millions and millions of hits, and he's receiving checks in his mailbox from sponsors that he didn't even know he had because his YouTube videos are suddenly getting 1 million hits every time he... So we ain't testing nukes, okay? We ain't doing it. The Russians are saying that because the Russians are getting desperate. First Republic Bank is trending. You might be hearing about this. Yeah, we thought we were out of the woods. We had that Silicon Valley Bank that went down. It was a big private institution for, rich folks. Look, this is not where you and I cash our checks, okay? These are not Bank of America, or Chase, none of this. The banks that have been imploding are banks that are catering to the 1%. Hold on, my goddamn computer just on its own went into airplane mode. You saw me. I didn't touch anything. I'm sitting here like this, and I look at my computer. It's like, you're now in airplane mode. Oh, and now I'm out of airplane mode. Oh, I hate technology. I really do so much. So Silicon Valley Bank, and then you had, the Swedish bank. They went under. That's another rich people bank, an investment bank. And now we've got First Republic Bank, which is not large on the scale of UBS, which went down over there in Sweden. And I don't think it has the holdings that Silicon Valley Bank did. But the First Republic Bank is a very big regional bank, and they're going under. The FDIC is going to sweep in and, help them with all that stuff. Now, here's the deal with First Republic Bank. It's another one of these rich people banks. That's exactly what First Republic Bank is. First Republic Bank ain't for you. First Republic Bank ain't for me. First Republic Bank is for people who want to build a new football stadium. So they go to him, they go, I need $1 billion loan. And First Republic goes, what do you got as collateral? And he goes, a whole bunch of crazy, weird stocks that nobody understands. And they go, sold. See, it's all a shell game. All of these rich people banks are imploding because they have been since 2008 in the mortgage crisis. Isn't that crazy? Remember, the mortgage crisis is going to wipe everybody out. No, it wiped out the middle class. We felt it. I lost my home. Okay? All right? Not any of the people in this neighborhood. In fact, since 2008 in the mortgage crisis, they've become wealthier. They've figured out new ways to be able to game the system, because that's why when you get a Wharton business degree, you're in such high demand, because you have an ability to figure out ways to game the system. And that's what these wealthy dude banks have been doing. And that's why we're seeing the three big ones, Silicon Valley Bank, UBS, and now First Republic. They don't want our money. They're just playing with rich people doing shady things, making a whole bunch of money for one another, and then at some point, somebody goes, let's look at the books, and they open the books, and they go, holy fuck, we've got nothing, and then dudes are like, call Bert, where is he? He's on his yacht. Hey, Bert, are you on your yacht? Yeah, I'm on my yacht. The bank is collapsing. Oh, well, I'm going to sail around the world. Bye-bye. Click. This is what's happening. And why is this happening? Well, that's what this story's about. Because we're bailing them out. Ah, that's right. Yeah. Our money. The middle class, the FDIC. We're gonna bail them out. We're gonna help them. Oh, super rich guys. Look, I know you've got 4 jets and 18 homes, but we're gonna make Bob the plumber in Akron kick in a little of his tax dollars so that you don't have to suffer some sort of decline in life standard. And we accept it. We accept this stuff. We're programmed. We're numb to it. It's just, well, that's what happens. Being rich is great. Well, there's a lot more of us than there are of them. And until we start to get serious about this, until we start stringing people up, but not enough people get angry about these stories. Not enough people get angry about these stories. You know why? Because these guys who own and run these banks and who are gaming these systems, they also own media empires. And they put people in high positions of influence. Your Tucker Carlsons, your Don Lemons, whoever it is. Well, not Don Lemon, because he was doing a whole other thing for a whole other group of people, but you know what I mean? And then you go home and you watch these super rich 1%er people in their nice haircuts with their expensive suits, and they tell you why you should be against your own best interests. And because you're just having a scotch after work and not really paying attention, you're like, I'd like to golf with him. He's making some... They're not fucking helping you. This is all part of the game. Convincing the public that convincing the public that it's a dude in a dress peeing in a bathroom is the big problem. Not that there are billionaires with multiple yachts and jet planes who are just tanking their banking business because they know that we, the middle class, will bail them out because of this stupid FDIC system. That's for us. The FDIC system is for us, so that when some regular person bank collapses and our $350 in our checking account goes to zero, that we won't suffer that. That's what the FDIC is about. It's not about making sure that Bert gets to keep his yacht because he's a fucking terrible businessman. But tell me again about how much you're against school lunch programs. You fucking terrible people. Bert's got to keep his yacht, but fuck them kids in Jacksonville. Let them go hungry. Fucking greedy little, gimme. I hate that class of people. And you're sitting there in your Barca lounger, in your little ranch house, and you're listening to some well-paid dude convince you that all these things are the way you should be thinking, and you're eating it up. I got a problem with the way the rich have been raping us for about, 50 years of my life, the rich have been raping us. The middle class needs to rule this country. We, the people. We're not all going to be millionaires and billionaires, okay? Some of us are just going to have our lives, and we're going to put our kids through school, and then we're going to retire, and maybe we'll get a nice little house somewhere, and we're going to have the love of family and community and all of that stuff. That's all we want. But it's this desire to have a fucking private jet. Everybody gets a jet. It's killing us. It's killing us. It's why we're at each other's throats. Because the rich people are the puppeteers. Culture wars. That's what this is all about. Let's distract them with really stupid shit that doesn't mean anything so that we can then work in the shadows the way we have been. Fucking First Republic Bank, please. Oh, God. Now all right, I worked myself up into a little bit of a thing. The Adam Rainey says, it's more that the banks are too regulated. Were you listening to what I was just saying? That was all about a lack of regulation over what the rich guys at these banks are doing. Because they know they'll ultimately be bailed out by us, the middle class, and our fucking crazy FDIC, which should be just for us. But it's not. It's for guys who bought too many yachts. It should be for the family who works their ass off and is going to lose their house because their local bank fucked up. That's what the FDIC should be for, but it's not. We're keeping Bert in his yacht. That's what it's for. That's certainly what it's been for these past 4 months. Silicon Valley. Regions. Not you. That's a Swedish bank, so UBS didn't count. But man, we just got to smarten up. We got to support one another. We can't be, again, it's this mansion on the hill thing. Someday I'm going to be in that mansion. No, you're not. No, you're not. You know, you might be, and God love you if you get there, because isn't that a wonderful thing? You know, achieving your goals, having aspirations, nobody can begrudge you that. But let's be honest, kid, you're not going to the NFL. You know, this is a 14-year-old kid, right? You're talking to a 14-year-old kid who's like, I don't need to learn anything else because I'm going to play pro football. Yeah, no. That's the same thing when you hear a 28-year-old go, well, I vote against my interests because one day I'm going to be rich and I want to make... Yeah, I bet you were the kid saying you were going to play in the NFL too, weren't you? I have a friend who was a dear friend who I got into a very big argument with, a girl. Got into a big argument with her like 10 years ago because she was on social media talking about how she's going to be a billionaire. I was like, you do realize how hard it is to be a billionaire, right? I mean, that's sort of an unattainable goal. If you do become a billionaire, you're a billionaire because certain crazy things fell your way and they were on account of, there was no way you could have planned for them. Mark Cuban never planned to be a billionaire. Mark Cuban never planned that his stupid little stream that allowed him to listen to Indiana basketball and Pittsburgh Pirate games. I think that's why he created broadcast.com. Mark Cuban created that for his own benefit so that he could listen to games out of market. He had no idea that, Yahoo or somebody would come in and go, I'm going to make you a billionaire. Like he didn't have any idea of that. So when people go, I'm going to be a billionaire. No, how about you just make a lot of money? And you know what? Do you know how well you can live on $10 million? Are you kidding me? You need to be a billionaire. This greed, this unchecked greed. Aspiration is important. Greed is deadly. Speaking of that, terrible situation occurring in, where did this happen? This happened up in Alaska. Yeah, we had an Apache crash. A bunch of soldiers passed away. Three or four soldiers, 2 Apache helicopters returning from a training mission in, in Alaska. They collided. They collided just over the airway where they were going to land. 4 people on 2 airships. Both Apaches had 2 people. 3 of the 4 are dead. The 4th, is not dead and getting attention. I don't know how bad it is, but man, that is always a heart. It's another thing that pisses me off. I bet you that not one of those soldiers who died in those Apache helicopters has a father who owns a yacht. Promise you that. I promise you that there's not one. You know what? I'll go even further. I'll make it even. I bet you there's not one of the 3 dead American soldiers, American heroes. I bet you there's not one of the 3 dead soldiers whose dad drives a Cadillac. Fighting wars and dying in foreign swamps. That's middle class territory. That's sad. Support our troops because our troops are us. Troops are us, not them. Troops are us. Okay, here's what we can get into a little bit. You guys are going to fucking hate me for this. I'm so sorry, guys. 6 months ago or so, I don't know, it was a while back. Some idiot, some like lefty we got to get rid of gas stoves. Remember getting rid of gas stoves was like a thing, part of the culture war. They trumped it up, and I was like, on the air here talking about this. I'm like, nobody's getting rid of your gas stoves. This is not a thing that's happening. Guys, it's a thing that's happening. It's actually happening. And as someone who cooks, I've cooked on both gas stoves and I've cooked on electric stoves. Electric stoves, absolutely SD. They are the worst. Electric stoves are terrible. I love a gas flame. Get it up, you're sauteing stuff. Oh, I love a gas flame. New York today is voting to outlaw natural gas and gas stoves and gas appliances in all new construction in the state of New York. This is a big one. Now, why did I say I have to apologize to you guys? I have to apologize because I lied to you back then. I told you, not intentionally. I'll never intentionally lie to you. Maybe if I'm trying to tell a story, make it funnier, I'll change a couple of details. But you know what I mean? Basically, what you get from me are heartfelt rants. I'm not always right. Sometimes, my emotions get the better of me. But I try to be a good dude. I try to be honest with you. I lie. I said that this wasn't going to be a thing, and now it is a thing. And here's the other thing I'm going to need to apologize for. I kind of agree with it now. I have evolved. I have become familiar since my first rant with the induction oven. And I don't know if you know what an induction oven, but I got to cook on an induction oven a couple of weeks ago. An induction oven is what they want all of us to have in our homes. Induction ovens instead of these gas-fueled stoves. Now, the induction oven that I cooked on, and I used the burner tops, the induction oven that I cooked on was the greatest stove I've ever cooked anything on. I boiled water in like 5 minutes. Yeah, that's the thing. It boils water in like half the time that like a regular gas flame. Now there's a reason for it. But here's the real reason, okay? Here's the real reason why I'm kind of okay with this. If what's going to stop, look, no gas stoves, that's a byproduct of the larger issue, which is natural gas being pumped into all of our homes, right? That's the real issue. They want to stop the natural gas from being pumped into American homes. Why? Because shit's been exploding, man. Because the infrastructure in this country, here's the deal. We can either invest trillions of dollars in fixing all the gas lines, all the roads, everything, or we can just go, maybe we should abandon that old-timey way of, letting people cook on their stoves. Maybe we should abandon that. Because you know what? Shit sometimes blows up, especially now that a lot of these gas lines and shit are 50, 60, 70 years old since they've been put in. We see this now more often. That's part of this deal in New York City. They just had a situation there where like 4 houses on the same block all blew up. People died. I was when I was working in Chicago. This is like the early 90s. You Chicago people will remember this. Over by in the Little Italy area there, right there. You know where UIC is there at the Circle Interchange. I guess I'm showing my age there. It ain't the Circle Interchange anymore. Isn't it the Jane Byrne? Yeah, over there, the Jane Byrne right off there by, UIC. So I'm coming home from the radio station and I just see all of this smoke coming from a couple of blocks away off the expressway. I'm like, what the fuck? And you know how when you're on the expressway and you see something like that and all of a sudden you are just hit by like 50 fire trucks and we're in traffic and we're sitting there. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I get home, I turn on the news, and of course they're covering live breaking news of an entire city block in Chicago that exploded because the natural gas lines underneath were never fixed. They were never fixed, they were never maintained, and somebody lit their pilot and the entire block went boom. A whole bunch of people died. This is a very real thing. Technology has gotten us to the point where we don't have to have these kinds of risks anymore. Now, I know it doesn't happen all the time, and I know that it doesn't really kill millions of Americans every year. But it's still scary as fuck. I worry about that all the time, man. I do. Especially when you're like hanging out in an old house. It's like, oh, geez, how old are the gas lines in here? When was the last time the gas people, they come in, they make repairs, but they don't make reinforcements. They, we got a leak here. There's a gas leak, so then they'll put the cones out and they'll be out there and they'll work on it and they'll fix the leak. But they won't address why there's a leak. And that's the problem. So the next time there's a gas leak, what if somebody doesn't catch it in time? So that's really one of my thinking. I don't, this is like sinkholes. I will never live in Florida because I once heard a story about a guy who came home from work, opened his bedroom door, plopped down in his bed, and was sucked down 60 feet into a sinkhole and died. Sinkholes and natural gas explosions. We don't need to be cooking. I'm telling you, and again, this is why I apologize, because I made those comments about cooking on electric stoves suck. I did that before I had learned that there was such a thing as an electric induction oven, which is really cool, man. First of all, it looks like a spaceship. It's like, what? How do I do this? Where's the knob? And like, there's no knobs. There's just a computer screen. Doot, doot, doot. It's fucking great. Here's the problem with induction ovens, though. You got to throw out all your cookware, because all that cookware that you currently use on your gas stove and all that, they ain't going to work on an induction oven. You have to have certain kinds of metals to be able to really use the induction, the heat process. But there you go. Yeah, it's a real thing, man. They're coming for your gas stoves. Your grandma is going to be surly because it's, old ladies who cook. They love their gas. But I'm evolving on this. But, the natural gas industry isn't going to tell you what I just told you. The natural gas industry isn't going to say, well, this is why they're doing it, and this is the reason. No, the natural gas industry will now start funneling money into the proper places, and we'll all start to learn that this is some lefty liberal save the world kind of bullshit. It's not what it's about. It's about the fact that the infrastructure in this country can no longer support the way that we deliver natural gas to houses without an investment of millions and millions of dollars at the local level in every municipality in America. That is a non-starter. That is too much money. That's the reality of it. The shit needs to get fixed, and shit's blowing up, and it's going to start blowing up a lot more in the next 10 years. So they're trying to head that off at the pass, but they're going to feed the different sort of news outlets to convince you, because remember, the natural gas industry, they don't care if the houses blow up. We're making a lot of money. They're going to keep you convinced that this is about fucking penguins or some bullshit, because that's a culture war. Because that you can be divided on. Oh, that's something liberals like, so this must be a liberal. Yeah, it's only liberals who are worried about being blown up in their house because they fucking lit a burner. No, this is an issue that all of us need to be understanding. But again, the big money, big natural gas is going to make everybody think this is some kind of environmental thing. And then, of course, there are environmental aspects to it. I mean, this is about one of the residual effects is that we stop relying on natural resources to the degree that we have. But really, it's because houses are going to start blowing up a lot as these gas lines degrade more and more over the years, because municipalities do not have the budget. They don't work into their yearly budget that they're going to have to spend $50 million redoing their town's gas lines. That's not something that they ever factor in. It's not something that they can factor in. Hell, most of these municipalities do not have a budget that would cover this one project. So that's the pickle that we're in. I'll tell you, if I give me one of them induction ovens with the induction cookware and all that kind of stuff, I could be just fine. And I can go to bed at night and not worry about the whole house exploding and the whole block going up in flames. And I can concentrate on the real fear, sinkholes. What else do we have? Okay, so we got to talk about this. So this is something that a whole bunch of people were hitting me up on Twitter. This came across my plate yesterday. Excuse me, about, 6 o'clock, maybe 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know what it was. But I got within 5 minutes, I got 3 DMs on Twitter from people going, "Hey, Pugs, did you see this? Hey, Pugs, did you see this?" And, hold on. Brady says gas stoves is the best cooking method. after having this house with a gas stove, it is a must-have in any future house. Brady Morris, have you ever cooked? Do you know what an induction oven is? Have you ever cooked on an induction oven? Because I would have said to that statement that you just made, fucking men, brother. You're right. Cooking on an electric top stove sucks. Gas is the way to go. But then, as I said, Brady, I cooked on an induction oven, and it's a whole new ballgame. This is like what the statement that you just said there, the statement that I would have agreed with before I had this experience with the induction oven. That's like when my grandpa used to say, why would I want to buy a color TV? It's black and white is fine. What? No, then you watch a color TV and you're like, oh, this is better. Or even more recent. Remember, there were a lot of people going, HD, I don't want an HD TV. Have you ever seen an HD TV today and then seen what TV looked like in like the 1990s? It's like 100 times better. It's like, oh, now I get it. And I'm telling you, that's what induction ovens are going to be. Induction ovens are fucking cool. Right now, they're super expensive. They're super expensive because everybody's got gas stoves, and the popular narrative is what Brady and I were sharing. Gas stoves are superior. So induction ovens were just for, a certain, you go into a mansion, you go into a modern mansion, that's an induction oven. That's like an expensive induction oven that will boil your water in like 5 minutes. Anyway, it's incredible. It's technology. It's changing. And if you're one of these people who think, you take my grass, I would say just calm down. Just because I really think you're going to love this induction oven. Oh, first of all, the way stuff sautés in the induction oven, on the top there, because it is a complete surface of heat that is being generated by the cookware. See, that's the technology that's going on. That's why you got to use special cookware, induction oven cookware. The cookware itself is and because it's the cookware itself, the entire thing is evenly dispersed with heat. Unlike this is why you do that thing when you're sauteing. And you move everything around because you're trying to disperse the heat evenly so that you don't have certain things that are overcooked, certain things that are undercooked. The induction oven does that for you. It just completely cooks everything evenly because every single inch of that cookware is the exact same temperature. It's just pretty good. I don't know, I just thought it was pretty good. I was like, this is really wild. All right, so here we go. Now with this next story. So a bunch of people sent me this. It's a video. We're going to watch it. It's by this guy I never heard of. I don't know, whatever. I was upset because there was a guy with the same name who I do like. And when I started watching it, I thought I was watching the guy that I do like because they look kind of similar. And this is not a really good video. I thought it was the guy that I do like. And I hated the guy that I do like for a little bit after watching this video. Now, the guy I do like is a comedian called Trey Crowder. And he does a lot of videos. What is he called? He calls himself the liberal redneck. He's really funny. He's really funny. He's a hillbilly, but he's funny. He's a comedian. That's Trey Crowder. He's the one that I know. Apparently, there's another one of these guys, and he's like the evil twin. He's like, his name is Steven Crowder. Oh, I don't know first thing about this dude. Although I understand he's currently in a war with Candace Owens, who I do know. And, cause she's hot. And, I was like, okay, so if he's in a war with Candace Owens, then, he's probably not a complete awful piece of shit. And then I'm like, oh no, these are two complete awful pieces of shit who are at war with each other, which is the best kind of war when you don't really care who wins. You just want everybody to slaughter one another. So this guy, Steven Crowder, apparently he's some kind of influencer. He certainly knows how to do it better than I do. That's for damn sure. Well, I'll just show you. So apparently he's got a Ring doorbell. These Ring systems that record frickin' everything in your house. Guess he's going through a divorce. And his wife or his ex-wife or his soon-to-be ex-wife, who lives here in Dallas, by the way, she's hiding in Dallas somewhere. Hillary Crowder is her name. We should find her and talk to her. I'd love to talk to her. So he's having this fight with his wife. We've all had fights. I'm married twice. You kidding me? Fucking stupid fight. I have fights all the time. He's having this fight with his wife. And he's being recorded on his outdoor system, right? I watched this video, and again, I thought it was Trey Crowder, and I was like, fuck this guy. I was like, fuck this guy, man. Somebody needs to beat him half to death with a boat oar. What the fuck is wrong with this piece of shit? It is the least manly behavior I have ever witnessed in my life. I have never seen a bigger cuck in my life than the way this man behaves in this video. So let's watch it. This is some guy named Steven Crowder who's an influencer, and this is him in a fight with his wife, and I sort of buried the lead here, okay? He is brutalizing his wife emotionally, mentally. He is engaging in a full manipulative circular logic that is, well, more popularly known these days as gaslighting, that is so obvious and so ugly. It is just, and he doesn't know he's being recorded. And I don't think she's thinking that they're being recorded, because you'll see that this almost looks like some form of a security cam video, but you hear him really good. And here's the lead that I buried. He is doing this to his 8-month pregnant wife. That's where I say he needs to be beaten with a fucking boat oar within half of his life. This fucking guy thinks he's a man. Now, there are a whole lot of things, a lot of badges that we like to wear on our chest that say that we're a man. I like guns, I like beer, I like titties. Yeah, okay. Those are things. But protecting, bending over backwards, and making sure that nothing happens to a pregnant woman, whether it's yours or whether you're in a store, is one of the top priorities of being a man. When you're a man and you see a pregnant woman struggling to carry something, you pick that shit up for her and you carry it for her. It doesn't matter if you have to go a block out of your way. You do that because men can't get pregnant. And the whole reason that we exist as a species is because these women put themselves through this. Now, I beg of you, any man who has never been around a pregnant woman, go find one and hang out with a pregnant woman. You will drop to your knees at night and thank God that you were born a man, because being pregnant seems like the absolute worst fucking experience imaginable. I can only imagine the anxiety. I can only imagine the stress, the pressure, the sick, the aches, the pains, the this, the that. That's what this 8-month pregnant wife is going through. And this is how the husband is treating her. His baby is in there. He should be protecting her. She should be, wasn't that a cliche? You see a pregnant woman and every man gets up. Please, ma'am, sit down. Make yourself comfortable. Is there anything that we can do? And these are strange pregnant women. Holy crap. My wife was pregnant. We went through 2 pregnancies. We lost the first one in birth. It was tragic and sad and awful. And so the second one, she wasn't on bed rest or anything like that, but we were very concerned, obviously, about everything. I mean, I wouldn't let her lift a 2-liter bottle of soda, So one of the things that they're arguing about here in this video that we're going to see is that they have a dog, and apparently the dog has an infection, and the dog needs to get his medicines put on him, right? Now, apparently this Crowder dude doesn't want to be bothered with it because he's sitting outside enjoying a cigar, and his 8-month pregnant wife didn't apply the medicine to the dog because she believes that the medicine could be toxic, and she's 8 months pregnant, and she just doesn't want to expose the baby to anything like that. So that's what this fight is about. She refused to do that. She refused to do her wifely duties. She refused to make him feel. Just watch the behavior of this man and ask yourself, if you were this woman's brother, does she have brothers? Does this woman have a cousin? Does this woman have a father that is still alive? Because I'll tell you, man, you talk to my daughter like this when she's pregnant, you're a fucking dead man. No questions asked. I'll go to jail for this. Well, I'll calm down and change my mind. But you know what I mean? I might... We're going to have words. I'll put it to you like that, okay? We're going to have words. Fuck you, Barney. She's absolutely aware that they are being recorded. What are you, a fucking bad person? Have you seen this video and you think that she's well, that fucking bitch. What the fuck is wrong with you, dude? The fuck? Any of you morons, get the fuck out of the chat room. Seriously, get the fuck out of the chat room. Don't ever come back. If after you watch this video and you want to defend this guy, this fucking cuck, this fucking pussy, what's the matter with you? I'm sorry, Barney. Sorry, that's me. You know, we get volatile here. I like Barney. But Barney in that moment represented a whole bunch of people. And it's not good. All right, here we go. Let's see if we can watch this. It's a tough watch, folks. It really is. Nope, never mind. Hold on. I don't know if you could even hear that. All right. How can I make this bigger? All right. I see if I can make this bigger. I'm having difficulty. I would prefer to use this. What the hell is that not? Oh, look at it. Look at it spinning. Spinning. We're all slaves to the internet, aren't we? We suck so bad. Okay.
I drew a boundary. I drew a boundary. No, you just did it. I drew a boundary of abusive and cruel. You were not taking the car. Because if you refuse to do it.
He's not allowing her to take the car. She's trying to go to the store to buy him things that he wants, and he is not letting her take the car. She's 8 months pregnant. Why is she going to the store?
Wifely things, then I will go pick up the groceries.
There's no groceries. I'd be happy.
Steaks, wood pellets, my grill. I know it's an unreasonable request, but I'll go do it. How about you first? Hillary, how do you respect the man? Yes, how do you man first? How do you man receive love and respect? No. How do you man respect? No, you're not taking the car.
Stephen,
you're not taking the car.
Stephen,
you are not.
Then I will ask someone to pick me up. Would you like me to ask?
Oh, that's right.
It's not about Stephen.
Give it an Uber.
Okay, Stephen.
Who would you like me to ask? What kind of fucking life does this chick live? I gotta be honest with you. It's a pregnant woman, so I'll throw out all the other things because a pregnant woman supersedes all my other thoughts on the woman. But never lose sight of the fact that this woman is in a relationship with this dude, and this cannot be the first time this dude has behaved this way. This did not come out of the blue, okay? So she is voluntarily in this relationship, which means that she is, by all in balance, probably a piece of garbage herself.
I can't.
Feeling some constraints?
Stephen.
Like, I can't
Stephen.
go. Listen to me. You want to walk out right now? Listen to me. I can't go to the gym. I can't go to my parents. I can't call my friends. I can't be home. You're going to take the car and leave me here. Hillary, just think of how boxed in you've made me.
What do you need?
That's what's called circular logic. He is banning his wife from leaving the home, and he is now convincing her or attempting to convince her that this is because she is doing stuff to him. This is her doing stuff to him. This isn't him trying to be a fast-talking talk radio guy who's going to, argue with a caller. This is a bad fucking look.
You need to pick up. I'll get it. I'll be back when I'm back.
No, that doesn't work either. You'll be back when you're back. That doesn't work either.
See,
Do you understand the difference between my life being set to the second and you going to be back when I'm back?
Stephen.
The only way out of this is discipline and respect.
The only way out of this is discipline and respect. And it's his discipline that she must follow, and it is he that she must respect.
The only way out of it, we're at an impasse.
We are at an impasse.
Good. Because you can't have any discipline or respect.
Yeah.
There you go. You throw your hand, you give up so easily.
I don't give up, Stephen.
Hillary,
Stephen?
you give up so easily. I just said the only way out of this is discipline or respect. You
This
said,
dude is
"Then we're at an impasse."
a fucking mental case. This is a crazy person. This is a fucking broken person who is, listen to the way he is talking to his 8-month pregnant wife. Like she needs the stress.
Stephen, your abuse is sick. Your abuse
Watch it.
is sick.
Watch it.
Watch what? What's that about? Stephen, your abuse is sick. Watch it. Watch it.
Fucking watch it.
Fucking watch it.
I'm gonna let go. I'll get what you need me to get. And I need some space. We need to just stop engaging for a little bit. Okay? I love you. I love you very much.
I love you. I love you very much. To which he responds, I don't love you.
I don't love you. That's the big problem. I've never received love from you. And the
See, it's her fault. Oh God, this is so fucking, this is just a perfect example of gaslighting. Stephen, I love you. Well, I don't love you. And the reason that I don't love you is because it's your fault. You are not making me feel loved enough for me to reciprocate love. Man, this is some fucking high level, dark, mental bullshit going on.
A, B, C, and D. You just be disciplined about it. You go, no. But I love you more than life itself. Okay. Put on some gloves. No.
There it is. There it is. So they put on some gloves because he's demanding that she give this dog this medicine that she doesn't want to do because she's afraid of inhaling it and what the fumes and all that could do to the baby. That's why she doesn't want to do the dog's medicine. Get off your fucking ass and fix your dog, asshole. He's sitting there on this, smoking his cigar. Do the dog. I'm pregnant. I have some concerns. What husband of an 8-month pregnant woman would listen to her go, I'm pregnant and have some concerns about this. I don't know what's in this. I think you're going to fucking do it. Put on some gloves. That's what this entire fight is about. They've circled back now to the origin story of this fight.
But I love you more than life itself. That's not fair. That's not fair, and it's disingenuous. Hillary, you're right. We're at an impasse. Become someone that's unique.
So now he's telling her that she's nothing and that he just wants her to become someone. And listen to me.
Day in and day out, worthy of a life. Worthy? No, not as a wife. I didn't say the wife. Hillary, come on now.
I'm not gonna engage. I'm not gonna engage anymore. I'm gonna go. I'll get text me what you need. I'll get you what you need.
She's still offering to get him whatever he wants from the store.
I love you.
Oh,
I'm committed to
she's
you.
an idiot. She's an idiot. No respect for her. Zero.
Are you committed enough to do those things?
I'm not.
She said, I love you. And then he sat up and said, put on some gloves. If you love me, you will apply the toxic medicines to the dog. Put on some gloves.
Are you committed enough to do those things? You're not committed to anything. You're not committed to anything.
Man.
You just said I love you. I'm committed to it. Walk the dogs. Put on some gloves.
You just said you love me, but you won't.
Walk the dogs. Put on some gloves. Are you committed enough to do those things?
This is ownership. This is some fucking bullshit. This is like him trying to. This fucking little dick cock deserves to get his fucking jaw broken by the first dude that sees him on the street. As the Crowders head inside, Stephen gets angrier and angrier and by his own admission screams, I will fuck you up, at his pregnant wife Hillary, who then flees their home. They're going through a divorce. That's some ugly shit, man. I have been in some ugly fights. I've been divorced twice. They've never gotten like that. They've never been, our fights are just like, you stop yelling, I hate you, you're so messy. Whatever it is. It's never been like, if you loved me, you would do so. That's some fucking scary shit, man. That is so... Jeff Ballard, this is so out of context, starting to watch in the middle of the fight. We don't know her back...